In the far northwest of Iceland lies one of Europe's remotest national parks. After hiking the Lagavegur Trail in South Iceland, Hornstrandir is the logical follow-up. It's longer, tougher and more remote than the Lagavegur, and it can be a real challenge if the weather turns bad. The trail starts in South Hornstrandir, and the highlight and goal of the trail is the Horn itself, a remarkable cliff peninsula. Half of the cliff has collapsed into the sea, leaving a sheer cliff face perfect for nesting birds. The hike up to the top of the Horn is a bit anxiety-inducing, not for the faint of heart, and not to be attempted in bad weather. There are many ways to hike to the Horn. The route I'm recommending is a total of 5 days, but you can easily double that if you like. My name is Robert Hennings, and I'm always out hiking with the camera whenever I can. In this video I'm going to share you my best tips for hiking and photographing Hornstrandir in Iceland. Hornstrandir is very different from the rest of Iceland. It's not exactly what you have in mind when you think of Iceland. It looks more like Ireland or Scotland perhaps. But it's a fantastic place to hike, and it's as remote as it gets. The only viable option is to take a plane for around €100, and the airport is in the center of Reykjavik. It's very easy to get to. Reykjavik Domestic Airport. It's a very small plane and flight time is maybe an hour. It flies all the way up to Ísafjörður. It's a nice little town with some very good cafes and restaurants. However, it is on the cruise ship trail, so every now and then it gets swamped with cruise ship passengers. Not a bad thing necessarily, it keeps the town alive. When you step off the plane you will see these long drawn out ridges, and these are pretty much the same type of mountains you're going to be seeing over in Hornstrandir. First you have to go down to the Café Baccarans and enjoy a snoozer, which is a chocolate bun, and then down to the harbor to get the boat tickets. And when you buy the tickets you have to decide when to return and where they should pick you up. The boat will take you over this fjord to Hornstrandir. I got really lucky and saw lots of whales coming right up to the boat. Absolutely fantastic to witness. So there are a few places you can start your hike. Your goal is the Horn, which you find over here. And these are the famous cliffs you've probably seen in a lot of pictures and videos. So you would want to end up here at some point in your hike. This is quite a tough hike, and in bad weather it can be treacherous. So very good equipment is required, some proper shoes and hiking poles are needed. The ground is very bouldery and it gets very tedious and hard to traverse. And at some places you will have very narrow ledges that can get slippery when it's raining. Where to start from then? So I recommend starting in Hesteyri. It has a nice cafe and a very good camp spot. So camping out of bounds is not allowed in the national park. You can start hiking immediately. It is a bit tougher than it looks. You can ask the boat to stop at other places, and this spot here, it's another popular starting point. From there it's a lot closer to make it over to the camp spot by the Horn. So it will be a 1-day hiking into the camp spot, 1 day around the Horn, and then 1 day back. So a 3-day journey in all. If you talk to the boat people, you can probably make other arrangements. I saw people get picked up in sea kayaks and from various other places. If you want the longest and hardest hike possible, you can take the trails to the west. So just beware of tides though, and it does get pretty hard to hike all that. It's quite a long stretch. I recommend the 5-day hike starting in Hesteyri. It's a gradual slope up, and the first real photo spot is on the crest. So if you try to time it with the golden hour, you will have some amazing views. I really thought this was one of the best places I've seen in a long time. It's fantastic. Then you will get a very nice sunset walk as you descend down into the valley and to the coast. And down by the shore you will find these piles of driftwood and an amazing scenery with the cliffs into the sea. So I thought it was great searching for compositions among the wood. Looking east you will see the best cliffs so far, and they looked amazing in the blue hour. A warning here though, it can be really hard to find the right way. I did get lost a bit, and if the tide permits you should pass by on the shore. But if the tide is too high you have to do a bit of a cliff walk that you see here. And it does get dodgy when it's dark and quite scary to be honest, so watch out. Right after all that mess you will reach the campsite, and from the campsite you will go over what looks like an impassable mountain. But as you get closer it will make sense. There's a path going up on the left side of the crater, and it's not as bad as it looks at all. When you're on the campsite looking up, you will think there is no way up, but there is. The way up could get slippery in the rain, but the views are absolutely amazing and totally worth it. You will have to traverse an arid plateau, and there's not really anything to see around here until you come to the next photo spot. So you go up a mountain and then down on the other side, where you can see some nice sea stacks, and you can see the Horn Peninsula in the distance there. It's a bit sketchy here with the steep cliff walks, and you also have to do a rope climb, which is not as bad as it looks. It's actually one of the easier things to do here. And once you round the mountain, you will see the campsite. This could be one of the best campsites in the world, and it's because of all the cute foxes. And the foxes will run around everywhere, and they are super curious and playful. And they're really easy to photograph because they are pretty much everywhere, so you can't miss them. Don't leave food at night though, because they will make a mess. They will chew through backpacks and tents and all kinds of things. Nothing is stopping them to get a meal. But be sure to bring a long lens and have a lot of fun. Now let's have a fox intermission and just enjoy. If you have time, I recommend staying on a full day at the beach. There are walks around the area, and it can be nice to leave the backpack behind and explore freely. The beach is fantastic, and there's lots of stuff to see in the backcountry as well. Otherwise, it's time to take on the Horn. The whole peninsula is a photographer's paradise, and if you're into birds, it's even better. So there is a campsite on the other side. It's not marked, and it can be a bit tricky to find. But there is a toilet and some good camp spots, and it gets you closer to the action for morning shots if you want to climb up to the cliffs. There is also a house further down that you can rent. So you might have seen that house in other videos. It makes it really easy to photograph the foxes, and you can just walk up to the cliffs in minutes. You continue on along the coast here, and you have to go all the way up to the tip of the peninsula. And when you look back, you will see the legendary view of the cliff. And that's the Horn itself. Then it's time to climb up. And it's actually a bit scary. So I recommend you try to stay calm and focused. It's very steep, but the views are spectacular. So it's worth something. In bad weather and strong winds, it's probably a nightmare. So be very, very careful when you climb this mountain. At the top, there are some really good shots to be had. You get this view over the second cliff, which is, in my opinion, even a better cliff. And there are lots of birds around. Now, it's forbidden to fly a drone here. It's a national park and the birds are protected, so don't do it. I've seen quite a few YouTubers do it, and I don't think it's good. You can apply for a permit. It will cost you around $500. I actually did apply, but I didn't get any answers, so I don't know how easy it is to get a permit. But of course, I did not fly my drone here. In the middle of everything, there is a big lake where it's really nice to take a rest after all you have suffered to get to this point, and have a nice lunch. Now you can continue on over another crest, and you have to climb over some cliffs and do some scrambling. And then you will see a third set of cliffs, which are also really impressive. And these ones have an even more terrifying drop down to the ocean. It's really gets to your head. Now you can decide if you want to continue further east. There are paths all around, or if you want to return back to the campsite. Now I left all my stuff at the campsite to be able to hike as light as possible. and then I had to make my way back to the same place where I came from. So I had to backtrack all the way because that's where I decided the boat should pick me up. You don't always have 4G connection. It's only on the highest peaks, like at the crest there and up on the horn. So if you have the number to the boat, you could call them and ask them to change the pickup destination. And knowing better now, I think I would have preferred to be picked up at the other fjord. Okay, that's it. I hope this will help you in an upcoming Iceland trip. And don't think twice if it's worth going, because it's fantastic. You will not regret it. But do not underestimate the distances. It's a slow hike and it wears you down. Add in a few extra days so you don't get too stressed about missing the deadlines that you need to reach, and enjoy the lonely remote Arctic. To end this, let's talk about the photos that I took. I carried my GFX 50R with a few vintage Pentax and Mamiya lenses. It really was a bit too heavy and cumbersome, but I love shooting the panorama mode with the GFX, and the Mamiya lenses renders beautifully. For the foxes, I used a 200mm Pentax M lens that I had to manually focus, and it really wasn't the best. It's really hard to nail it, and I don't think I got it perfectly in any of the shots here. So I used a 50mm Pentax 1.7 for these detailed shots on the beach, and I shot it wide open on a GFX, so it creates a lot of character. It got this heavy, almost swirly vignette and the fantastic colors. Since the weather was too good, I started to think in black and white, and it worked much better then, because the colors that I got is not really what I expect from Iceland. It was way too much blue sky, and the sunlight was very harsh. Towards the evening, a little bit of weather finally started rolling in, and I got some atmospherics, and it made for much better images. If you turn around and look out into the sea, you might spot a little bit of wildlife hanging around on the rocks. While I was waiting for the boat, I started to have some fun with the GFX and the 50mm 1.7. I shot it wide open to get this very vintagey look, and this is something you can only get with a medium format camera and a full frame lens. It just creates this very swirly, otherworldly look to it, and I love it. I hope this guide was helpful and that you have a fantastic time in Iceland. It really is one of the best places you can ever travel to. Consider liking and subscribing, it would really help me out, and more videos are coming soon, so I hope to see you around.